Promote your brand here at Viral Hip Hop News. Hit me, Sam Ant, at dlsmediainc1@gmail.com. dlsmediainc1@gmail.com. Let's go. Hot off the presses. Grab your exclusive merch at the Viral Hip Hop Shop. Protect your energy at all costs. And you tired of all these self-proclaimed goats? Well, be a goat killer exclusively at the Viral Hip Hop Shop. Link in the description.
What up, man? Excited to be in the building Monday, November the 30th, 2023 on the Hip Hop Uncensored podcast. We're going to continue a conversation from the other day, man. Dee-1 calling out rappers like Jim Jones, Meek Mill, Rick Ross. He got a response, in particular from Jim Jones. That was a threatening response. Mysonne, he actually weighed in on this yesterday on his Instagram. We want to play it and talk about it because, in my opinion, and I kind of saved my opinion, but he said he was friends with Jim Jones, Rick Ross, and Meek Mill. So let's just play what he said, and then or a portion of what he said, and then we'll give our commentary.
Cool.
So I've been really engaged in watching, this online conversation. That pretty much, I agree it needed to be had. I agree that it was necessary. But there's been this online conversation, based on an interview that my brother, someone that I love and respect, Dee-1, started. And he started naming rappers and saying that he wanted to see the content of their music evolve from drugs and talking about murder, or as he said, glorifying murder, to something else. And he named 3 particular artists. He named Jim, who's also one of my friends, Meek, who is also a good friend of mine, and Ross, who is somebody that I have a good relationship with. And I've been just thinking about listening to all sides. And my perspective is a little different, because boycott black murder and Calico, all those things coincide pretty much with what Dee-1 is talking about. So I'm 100% on time with what he's saying. What he's saying is, yes, there has to be a change in the shift in the music that we listen to. There has to be a different frequency that we talk on when we talking, because these kids are listening, and the culture grabs on to whatever it is that we say. So there has to be a shift. Where I will give a little pushback for D is the way the message is delivered. When we look at social media and we look at media in general, it sensationalizes it, right? And what it does is it takes away the core message that you actually want to deliver, and it makes it into more of a me against you thing, right? So you have to be very careful, especially if that's not what you're doing, because I know Dee-1, that's not what he wants to do. He doesn't want a me versus you, because he constantly says, I love you brothers and I respect you brothers and I think you dope artists, but, right? Everything after but becomes the issue, right? Because what happens is the media and the social media are going to say, oh, he's saying that y'all doing devil's music and y'all doing this work and this and that. And I don't think that's what he's saying. But I think that the delivery of the message has to take into account the platform, right? It has to take into account the culture that we're in. It has to take into account the individuals that you're delivering the message, right? So when you sit there and you think about Rick Ross, you think about Jim Jones, and you think about Meek Mill, these is all the way street individuals, dudes that came pretty much from nothing. They figured it out, especially Jim and Meek. These is dudes that I know that they come from the projects, they come from the trenches, right? And it was mere survival. Like, these dudes was starving, hungry, trying to figure out how we gonna survive. In order to survive, there's a certain energy they had to take on. There's a certain energy of, once you attack back. Always feeling attacked, having to watch your back. Jim coming from a gang culture, understanding how dangerous it is in the streets and watching every individual. And when you hear people say things, you feel attacked, you got to respond, because if you don't respond, like Jay-Z said, once you tag lame, the game is follow a leader. It's always a battle, especially in this hip hop. And so when you understand that, the way that you relay a message to those individuals has to be different than the way you would relay it, right? And And I know that D1, I know your goal is not to make these people your adversaries, right? It was never, you didn't never want Rick Ross to come back and respond to you in a manner that you didn't never want Jim to be up there talking about his cousin, this and that. But those are realities that come with the lifestyle and the culture in which these individuals come from. So when you relaying a message to somebody, you have to take that into accountability. I brought up certain things, right? Because I know that D1 he's a very spiritual brother and he's religious, like in his situation, and his whole premise is based on his religion, being a Christian, being a Christian brother, and being strong faith in Christianity. He feels like this is his calling from God. And I feel like this is my calling. When I'm doing Boycott Black Murder and Cowl Culture, I feel like this is my calling. So I'm 100% aligned with what it is he's doing. And in reality, if he didn't do it, I want to say this. If he didn't do it in a manner in which he did it, the conversation would never be sparked.
I'm gonna stop it there. It was sometime maybe 10 more minutes left. You guys can go check that out on Mysonne's Instagram. What's your thoughts, man?
All right, first and foremost, right, I'm glad my son spoke on this because I think he would be, if he has a relationship with D1 and a relationship with Rick Ross, Jim Jones, and Meek Mill, he'd be a great bridge to potentially making something
Good point.
upon a good conversation happening. And I genuinely think, because he commented on it, and I believe that he's genuine, I think that he could make that happen, and I think that would be dope. And if you need a platform to help facilitate that, we would love to be that platform if you happen to watch that. And that's genuine because we've been talking about this and we care about the end result in that. But that being said, I got to disagree on a few things.
Yeah.
Because I also feel as though you understand what D1 was trying to do. You also understand if he didn't do it in the manner in which he did it, they'd have never paid attention to it.
That's what he said, yeah.
You'd have never paid attention to it. So how else are you supposed to get people's attention when you've been trying time after time after time? Eventually, when you get on the platform, yeah, unfortunately, you may have to call out people by name. And yeah, D1 may not give that approach as if he's from the same streets as a Meek Mill, as a Jim Jones, or as a Rick Ross. But New Orleans ain't nothing to play with either, and I'm sure he's seen his share of shit. But you know the brother, so you know that as well. I simply say, when are we going to hold some of these brothers, and there's no disrespect to them, but it's like, when are we going to start holding some of these brothers that have been through things like a Meek Mill, Jim Jones, or Rick Ross, that have gotten out of these things and are no longer anywhere near that type shit, some type of accountability going, you know what, yeah, we did it. We understand the culture.
Right.
But we cannot continue to live on like this, because if we do, we're still some of the reasons why we see little kids carrying guns on videos, or talking about bitches and hoes as 9-year-old rappers, throwing money out and being ignorant, or kids in school reciting Sexy Red lyrics. Yeah. When are we going to be tired of that and begin to go, you know what, yes, I'm from a culture. Yeah, but you know what? Because I'm from that culture, I could speak to them and maybe change some of this paradigm that we've been going through for decades upon decades. So I just got to disagree on some of them things. I know you're coming from a genuine place, and I rock with you, my son, but we got to start holding some of these brothers, and not just them three, a lot of them accountable, bro. It's time for accountability, man.
And it's like, what makes his message a little hard to digest, as you can glean some of the comments on his Instagram, is a lot of people think that he is playing both sides of the fence, being kind of tipped on to the tulip. Because look, I don't want to offend these dudes. All these dudes are my friends, so I don't really want to, offend anybody. So I'm gonna tell you this and tell you this. But at the end of the day, my son said that they wouldn't have listened if he didn't do it that way. If he didn't put the message out that way. I thought the message, in my opinion, came out in love. I don't think anything was nasty about it or anything. Now, this whole thing about Christians too, right? About God or Jesus, whatever you believe in, always being humble, meek is totally ludicrous. We want to start getting into Bible verses and things like that and reading some of them stories. It was times where Jesus turned up. It's time where, God, in the Bible had wrath on people. And made things happen, turn shit upside down, for lack of a better word, right? Sometimes things need agitation. Everything can't always be, we're grateful upon little tea, let's have a conversation, because they ain't gonna respond to that. These dudes is from the street, they're gonna respond in a certain way, and we gotta get to the point where we stop always attacking each other. And what I mean by that is, just because somebody's talking to you don't mean you gotta threaten them with violence. We gotta have self-control. about each other. We have discipline. That's what comes with being a man, street or not. Having that, and that's why a lot of brothers end up in jail because they lack self-control and discipline. Just because the brother's calling you out on the internet don't mean, oh, my cousins might. Fuck off. That's some corny shit to me, right? Because we see many instances where people have done stuff against us and people that's even involved where nothing happened to them, in my opinion. So I get where Mysonne is coming from. I'm not totally discounting his message. And I think you said the key thing is being the bridge. The conversation needs to be had. These brothers need to be held accountable. I don't give a damn if they make money off of it. I don't give a damn. It's destructive at the end of the day. Your message is boycott black murder, right? And then you got rappers that you know, that your friends that are glorifying black murder. It's a contradiction there. Something there has to be said. Somebody has to come out and say, look, enough is enough of this bullshit. I get you guys is making money and whatnot, but when are you going to cross the threshold and move on to something different? Jay-Z ain't talking about killing people no more. You know, somebody brought up Nas. They said Nas's last 3 albums, he wasn't talking about glorifying killing people and shit like that. So there's an evolution that has to take place as well. I get it. You come from the hood, you're going to talk about it. I concede to that. But when's the evolution going to take place? Because we are leading these kids to hell, to prison, to death, to drugs, period. Somebody got to say something about it.
If this was a Jay-Z or Nas that delivered this message and called out people by name, because I think that they're taking offense to being called out by name, right? And if you hear that and you reactionary to it, oh shit, like what the fuck you mean? I could get the initial reaction.
Right.
But once you digest what he's saying as a man and you take that in as an adult, it's like, okay, first off, he was coming from a loving place. Yeah, his tone may have been a bit aggressive, but he was coming from a loving place. Let me talk to this brother and let's have a conversation. This is me. Behind the scenes, let's talk and then we can make it public, whatever. But their reaction, how they took it to Dee-1 in particular, do you think they would have the same reaction if Jay-Z and Nas said, and I'm just using their names because they were used, Jim Jones, Meek Mill, Rick Ross, y'all got to do better, bro. Y'all glorifying killing more, y'all got to do better.
I'm no, because I think it's Jay-Z, and they probably feel like, who the hell is this dude, Dee-1? Yeah. Who's this N? Right, to be saying this. We're going to put hands on this end.
Word.
I'm giving turkeys out. Nino Brown on this end.
Word.
You know what I mean? So I think it'll be definitely taken different because that's Jay-Z and whatnot. But the message will still be the same.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? In my opinion. But again, it got to be a higher accountability. I've heard Farrakhan talk about this subject a lot of times. I don't know if he called out people particularly by name and whatnot, but so what? And we could call everybody out by name. We can go down the list. Y'all ain't the only 3. We can go down a list of rappers. We talk about on our show, we call people out by name all the time. Right? So, you know, like I said, like you said, I want to see the conversation happen, the forum, talk, because maybe there's a side of this that we don't see.
Of course.
Right? And that we could talk about and have this conversation and whatnot. It ain't necessarily got to be us. It could be anybody else that could facilitate, you know, the conversation. But I just think it's corny that the way they attacked him. And, you know, that's kind of all I got, man.
I would love for a conversation to be had. I would love for it to get uncomfortable. We can have an uncomfortable conversation. Tensions can run without us wanting to hurt each other, without us wanting to kill each other at the end of the day, without us wanting to cause harm on each other at the end of the day, because resolution sometimes takes a bit of aggression, sometimes takes a bit of uncomfortability. It is not easy to look yourself in the mirror and go, damn, I'm wrong. Damn, this or that. So to have that uncomfortable conversation, I think would be super healthy. We would just it would be a fucking hip hop detox, and we need it. We need it. And if y'all care about the culture, if y'all care about the people, if you care about your art, which I believe you do, I don't see why the conversation couldn't be had. I don't see why, based off of what this brother said on Sway in the Morning, we got to resort to violence or is no more conversation to be had. God damn, really? Just from that?
Let me ask you this real quick, because I've seen a lot of people saying this too. They said, nah, it's not a guilty conscience. Like, these dudes already been sold out. They already know what they doing. They sold out to whatever. They sold their soul to whatever. They know what they doing. What do you say to that argument? A lot of people saying that.
I'm not against that either. Whether they sold their soul or not, I'll put better context to what I believe that means. They don't care. They're making money. F it.
Yeah.
They know it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? They've sold their soul to the fact that they don't care about a culture. They don't care about the people. They're just in it to make money. I've heard all 3 of these brothers' albums. I heard a lot of their songs, and all 3 of them consciously speak about caring about their people. They all do. Mixed about, and that's what makes me understand and know that they all can do it.
Yeah.
Because they all
yeah.
do it
Easily.
but they also throw in the nonsense, and it's like you're not articulating story that's going on. That is no longer there. You're glorifying it. We went from articulating story to glorifying bullshit. This is where hip hop is kind of generated.
Damn.
We're no longer telling the story because the people that are glorifying it ain't living it no more. The rappers that are going through it, they're talking about what they're genuinely doing, and they're talking about somebody. It's nonstop beef and it's serious beef going on, or it's I'm glorifying what I did over you. I'm glorifying this. I'm glorifying that. So
Yeah.
it's an uncomfortable conversation that definitely needs to be had. And I hope that through all of this, them three brothers, at least one of the three, because you know what? At the end, I still think Jim Jones, although was hurt, heard what that brother said and would have a conversation with him.
Of course.
I still got that out of that.
Yeah,
so if one out of the three happened to have a conversation with Dee-1 and we can talk and bridge some kind of gap, I think it would be healthy for hip-hop and then put in a good direction.
And look what's morphed to. It's morphed to now your drill rap, right? All this stuff, and to the most destructive form of hip-hop or rap, whatever. Real quick, before we get up out of here, you were talking about, you alluded to it earlier, and this is what this kind of leads into, as we've seen the video that's out of the children at some type of a party, fake guns in their hand, throwing money. You talked about, you know, the preschoolers reciting Sexy Red's lyrics, even doing the body motions. This is what this breeds. And we look at it and we say it's okay because it's money, because they making money and they're entertainers. It's not okay. It's not, because when your family goes to one of these neighborhoods and one of these people that's influenced by one of these artists get killed, robbed, or something like that, you're going to be grieving about the shit. Is it going to be okay then? But what do you think, though, man, about